I had to begin to focus on what was the solution. That this was not the only place that I'll be able to sell those products. And as I began to challenge myself and got some help and support and some other input, I eventually did. It took longer, but it was challenging. But I did it. Repeat after me, please. No matter how bad it is, or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Shake somebody's hand on your right and left and say, you got that right. Repeat after me, please. It's possible. I can have my dream. I can get what I want. I must be creative and never give up. Now, let me share something else with you, ladies and gentlemen. When you know within yourself that there's something you want to do, and I believe that all of us were born with a purpose, that all of us have something that we are supposed to do, that all of us have some goodness within us, and that goodness gives us a responsibility to manifest our greatness. And when you know that, you can feel it in your guts, and you know that you're deliberately operating below your potential. You've gotten comfortable. You stop expanding. You stop stretching. You stop challenging yourself. Let me share something else with you. Not only is it possible for you to have your dream, but it's necessary. It's necessary that you have it, that you work on it, that you develop yourself, that you go for what is yours in the universe. I have a friend that at the beginning of the year I was in Los Angeles giving a speech, and I do a seminar teaching people how to become involved in the speaking business, and also one called Speaking with Power, teaching people how to begin to develop their communication skills. And this friend, I said, I want you to work with me. I called her up. She said, Les, are you sure I can do it? Sure you can. You have a PhD in communications. I don't have that. If I can do it, sure you can do it. In fact, I'm going to give you the support that you need. Here's what I realized, ladies and gentlemen. We only have enough energy to take us to a certain level, but it's necessary that we assemble ourselves with other people who share our vision, other people that can see it for us, to give ourselves a home court advantage. So it's necessary that you seek out other people who think like you, who are growing, who've decided that they are not satisfied with where they are. See, I don't believe that necessity is the mother of invention. No, necessity, in my opinion, is not the mother of invention. Refusing to accept things the way that they are is the mother of invention. When you decide, I'm not going to settle for this, this is not going to be it for my life, I deserve more than this. See, that will start making you do some stuff. See, a lot of people go to work every day miserable, and all they do is just talk about how miserable they are, but they don't do anything about it. So I was telling her that I knew she hated her job with a passion. I said, you can do this. You got more going for you than I have going for me. And we've been going through this for years, ladies and gentlemen. She'd been to my seminar speaking for a living. She brought her husband, and that was one of the major problems that I realized that happened in her life. He couldn't see it for her. So you got to make sure that you have people in your life that can see it for you, that will encourage you. Non-affirming relationships can hurt you. And I talked to him. I said, I don't have anything to do with your marriage. I said, you and I are good friends, and she and I are good friends. And I'm not taking sides. I said, but if you can't see it for her, don't tell her that. Just give her some support. What if you're wrong? It's possible, man, that if I'm doing it, she can do it. Well, you're different. How are you going to tell me that? You've seen her speak. She's got great speaking skills. Don't underestimate her. You don't know. You got a great woman here. But you see, people who can't see it for themselves can't see it for you. He was happy. So I said, will you do it with me? I said, I'm going to give you the support you need. You can't do it by yourself. I will stand with you. She said, you will? I said, yes. I'm going to make you a part of my seminar. You'll do a part of it, and I'll do a part of it. Speaking with Power. She said, okay. 3 days later, ladies and gentlemen, I got an emergency call at my office. It was from her husband. He called and said, tell Les Brown that Marion is dead. I said, oh no. When I was flying there to go to the funeral, and I remember the last time that I saw her, and I had some of her papers that I had gotten inadvertently confused with mine, and I took them home. And I was searching through these papers to do one of her works. She was a prolific writer. And what was so sad that made me begin to cry was that there were poems that she had started that were profound poems, great thoughts that she didn't complete. Plays that she had started that she didn't complete. See, that poem was given to her. I can't finish that for her, nor can you. That play, whatever the outcome that she had envisioned, that she had imagined, was given to her. Only her. And she's the channel that was going to come through. You are here, and you are the vessel. You are the outlet for the universe. That you've been selected. There's something for you to do. I believe all of us have some purpose for being here. And as I was going to the funeral, and I was reading a newspaper that said that millions of people are dying because of what they're eating, talking about their diet. And I'm sure that it was Marion talking to me, whispering, saying, Les, the next time you speak, say that even more are dying because of what's eating them.
Are you ready for something miraculous? One of the little boys that Rod Crew mentored was a guy named Conrad Rohn. Conrad Rohn was an NFL football player eventually. Rod met him when he was a little boy, same age when he met me. Conrad was the same age when he met me. And he took an interest in Conrad and believed in him. And Conrad went on to play for the Ravens and other NFL teams. He was in his off season, he was working out at the gym. Rod hadn't seen him in many, many years. He felt a click behind his right eye. He called his brother and said, I think something's wrong. His dad said, we feared it was an aneurysm. Are you ready? This is a little boy that Rod Crew mentored. At the same time that happened, Rod had a massive heart attack on a golf course and nearly died. At the same time, he nearly died. Thank God he was on the first hole and they were able to resuscitate him. And he was left with a few days to live. While Rod was in the hospital, Conrad passed away. Conrad donated a heart. Conrad was 29 years old. That heart saved Rod Crew's life, and he's still alive today. So, the lesson from that is that there's a payoff, and even if there wasn't, you should do it. But the investment of belief in people, sowing seeds of belief, that's what makes you a leader. People say, what makes me a leader? Makes you a leader is your example. What makes you a leader is you investing belief and loving and caring about people. Any one of you in this moment could decide you're going to lead, because leadership is instilling something in someone that they don't see in themselves. Loving on them, believing them, seeing their giftedness. All of you, I don't care if you're loud or quiet, big here or small here, you could be a leader. The bottom line is you need to decide you want to lead. You need to decide it's worth it. Our company's looking for leaders, and it's about your destiny. If you invest in enough people, there's a payoff for your destiny. I'm telling you right now, the more I'm here, the longer I'm here, my heart knows we're a company of destiny. We're a company where dreams come true. We're a company that stands for something. We're a company that changes lives. We're a company where dreams happen for people. You got to believe that. You got to believe you got a destiny. I hope you're hearing those people sitting with you saying, you can do this. You belong here. This is where you belong. This is where you can make it. I want to talk about becoming a leader for a second. You got to feel and know you're going to lead. It's not just going to happen. You have to make it happen. A few things you need to know is, listen, no one's going to do anything for you. A couple rules of being a real leader. You need to take responsibility for your own life. Bringing energy to your team. Leading in recruiting. Leading in leadership. Leading in growth. Nobody owes you anything, but you owe other people everything. That's what a leader does. You take responsibility. You know exactly right now what you're not doing. It would be criminal of you to leave here and say, I don't know what to do. You know exactly what you're afraid of. You know exactly what you've been avoiding, and you got to make a decision to change it. You know exactly what it is. Don't BS anybody. You know what you need to do different. You know the changes you need to make, and if you can do that, you stop kidding yourself, you can win. You can overcome your fear, overcome procrastination, whatever that is. You know exactly what it is. Number two, you got to compete. I agree with what Monty said yesterday. You don't have to be number one, but dadgummit, you better want to compete to be the best version of you could possibly be. Your desire and will to win is everything. I believe you win with intangibles, with emotion, with energy, with passion. And you got to bring that. You know what we're really looking for right here? We're looking for some dogs, man, some road dogs. We're looking for some people that want to get aggressive. How many road dogs we got out there? You know what I mean, right? I hear ladies go sometimes, some of the guys who, I don't know if I got a road dog in me. Ladies, let me tell you something. The hardest core road dogs in the world are women. Hey, ladies, here's how we know. What if someone messed with your kid at school? You know how you get? You slap the hell out of a little kid if you have to, don't you? You don't give a crap. Well, guess what, ladies? Listen to me. You're letting the world slap the hell out of your family, and you're not doing anything about it. You're letting life slap the hell out of your kids and you. You're settling for average, aren't you? You're settling for ordinary, aren't you? See, you may not see the slap, but you can feel it. You need to stop letting the world slap your family around. It's time that stops right now. You say, that's the end of this. This family wins now. I'm leading this family. Change happens now. Say yes.
Stop letting people hold you to your past. Yeah, man, I got what I used to do, but I'm trying to do better now. Stop letting people tie you to what they saw you do 5, 10 years ago. You can go on the internet and say whatever you want to say about me in the past. Got all that. Was who I was, but I am who I am, and I'm cool with both of them people. You got to be not all right to get all right. You got to be lost to get saved. You got to have been through something to know something. So please, get comfortable with that get comfortable with that part. I don't know what I'm doing on time, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Okay, cool, here we go. This is the one I really wanted to do because this one describes my life to the T. When I left college, I flunked out of college after 3 years. When I worked at Ford Motor Company, one of the last jobs I had because of the layoffs was they put me in the foundry. I learned a valuable lesson in the foundry because I used to be a foundry worker at Ford Motor Company. I'm now a spokesperson for Ford. Let me tell you how the flip went. A lot of people don't know, but in the foundry, they was making engine blocks. Engine blocks start with scrap metal. See, people, you think old cars just go away. No, they go to junkyards. Companies take this scrap metal and they melt the metal down. But it starts with scrap. They run it through a furnace, and when it gets in the furnace, they liquefy the metal. Then they take this metal and they pour it into a mold. This mold is the engine block. But when you pour it in there, it's just hot. It's just hot. It ain't nothing. And you think that you can't do nothing with that. But then something comes along and gets a hold of it. Something comes and gets a hold of it. It takes this hot piece of mess that was scrap. It lifts it. It dips it. It cools it. It refinishes it. It hardens it. And then it puts it on a conveyor belt. When it come out the conveyor belt, my job was to hit it with a sludge hammer and knock the loose flashing out. That's empty, extra metal on it. And then you have an engine block. The basic of any engine is the block. You got a cracked block, you can throw that engine away. It don't work. But the block starts from scrap metal. This really how God do it, though. See, God takes scrap. All engine blocks is scrap. He takes scrap. Come on, Steve. Come on. He mold it. He pour into it. Then it come out, he cool it. He shape and he start putting stuff on it. He start attaching pieces to it. He put a manifold on it. He put the rocker arm on it. He put the exhaust on it. He put spark plugs on it. He put a carburetor on it. He put a fan belt, water pump, and he take it and he put it in a car. But all of it started when it was a piece of scrap metal, man. We cannot do as Christians is just cause we the car now. You can't look at the dude that's in the furnace that's just wet liquid. That's a hot mess. You can't look back at the scrap pile and go, they just scraps, man. Cause what you don't understand is you got to have that scrap so you can make a block, so God can put stuff on it. So when you put it on it, you can be a car one day. I just want everybody to let everybody be a block, man. Let them be a hot mess in a furnace. Let them be a scrap, man. You ain't got nothing to do with that. That's God right there, man. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all.
You got to get ready mentally. And this is where Shof went to work on me, to be ready mentally, to develop the philosophy and also be able to defend your virtues and your value. Let's go through it. You need a good library. Shof got me started on my library. Here's one of the books he recommended. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich. Shof said to me, doesn't that book and title intrigue you? Think and Grow Rich. Don't you have to read that book? Think and Grow Rich. I said, yes, sir. By Napoleon Hill. I went and found that book in a used bookstore. That's where I had to start. In a used bookstore. I paid less than 50 cents for it. I've still got it. It's one of the rare hardback covers. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Wow, Shof was right. Get a library started. It'll change your life. Any home over $200,000 has got a library. Why do you suppose that is? Wouldn't that make you curious? How come every home over $200,000 has got a library? Does that tell you something? Does that educate you at all? You say, well, I can't afford a $200,000 home. It doesn't matter what size home. Take your present apartment, clean out a closet, call it your library, and start acting intelligent. And start this process like I did. Start developing a library. Here's what your library needs to show: that you're a serious student of health and life, spirituality, culture, uniqueness, sophistication, economics, prosperity, productivity, sales, management, skills, values of all kinds. Let your library show you're a serious student. Don't be casual in learning. Don't be lazy in learning. Information is the key. Learning is the beginning of wealth. Learning is the beginning of health. Learning is the beginning of prosperity. Learning is the beginning of democracy, the beginning of freedom. All values, all virtues start with the learning process. So don't be lazy in learning. Don't be lazy in gathering the library that'll teach you and instruct you. And I got that book, Think and Grow Rich. Some of the ideas in that book inspired me no end, helped me to change my life. Now, it's got some weird stuff in it. It's got some weird stuff. Napoleon was weird, so you gotta separate out a little of this weird stuff. But you can do that. You can separate out the weird stuff, okay? Unless you're weird, just do the weird stuff. Anyway, remember, don't be a follower, be a student. That's the key to all books. Don't be a follower, be a student. Okay. Another book he recommended, Help Me Become Financially Independent. We're going to cover that before we finish this afternoon. The book was entitled The Richest Man in Babylon. The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason, C-L-A-S-O-N. This little book, The Richest Man in Babylon, I use it as a textbook, teaching teenagers how to be rich by 40, living in America. 35 if you're extra bright, much sooner if you find a unique opportunity. I got rich by the time I was 31, didn't wait till 35. You find a unique opportunity. So we'll get into that after we come back from our next break. Richest Man in Babylon. Get your library started. Here are some key sections to put in your library called mental food. In fact, we call it food for thought. It's so important to nourish the mind, not just the body, but nourish the mind. Key phrase. Now it needs to be well balanced. You can't live on mental candy. Somebody says, well, I just read this positive stuff. That's too second grade. You've got to get out of second grade. You can't just be inspired. You've got to be taught. You can't just be inspired. You've got to be educated. Here's a good book. It's called How to Read a Book. Good title. How to Read a Book by Mortimer Adler. In this book, How to Read a Book, Mortimer, is the chief editor of the new Encyclopedia Britannica. A good set of books, right, to have in your library. The Encyclopedia Britannica, chief editor, Mortimer Adler. He's in his 80s. He's still active, still writing books. I've got several of his books. The 6 Great Ideas, a lot of books. Mortimer Adler. But he wrote this book, How to Read a Book. Now, in this book, How to Read a Book, not only does he give you some good suggestions on how to get the most out of a book. It's one thing to read it. It's another thing to get the best out of it. He'll give you some techniques on how to get the best out of a book. It's very good. But here's what's also in his book, How to Read a Book. A list of what he calls the best writings ever written. The best writings ever written. I've used it as a centerpiece for my library. So I'm just asking you, take a look. If it suits you, fine. If it doesn't suit you, hey, keep looking till you find something to suit you. But well balanced. Let me give you some of that balance. Number 1, history. We've all got to have a sense of history. American history, national history, international history, family history, political history. We all need a sense of history. Shortest history lesson. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. No matter how far back you go, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, I'm telling you, it all reads the same. Once you understand the thread that it isn't going to change, then what's going to change for my life? Answer. Looks like I'm going to have to change. History helps us to understand how it is, what there is to work with, seed, soil, sunshine, rain, and what human beings have done with it in the past, and how many of them have, like I did by age 25, they have messed up. That's what history's for. Be a good student of history. Here's a good book, Lessons of History by Durand. Lessons of History by Durand. This little book is only 100 pages, but I'm telling you, it's so well written, you'll be intrigued, as I was. This little book, Lessons of History by Durand. Next is philosophy. Durand also wrote a good book on philosophy. The Story of Philosophy. It's got a good rundown of the key philosophers of the last several hundred years, what they taught and some of the lives they lived. You might find it a little difficult, but hey, you can't just read the easy stuff. Key phrase to add here in parentheses, don't just read the easy stuff. You won't grow. You won't change. You won't develop. Tackle the more difficult stuff. Next, novels. Novels are good. Sometimes an intriguing story keeps our attention so that the author can weave in the philosophy he or she is trying to get across. Ayn Rand was probably better at that than anybody else I could possibly think of. Atlas Shrugged, some of those towering novels. The novel kept us intrigued, but guess what she was doing all the time? Feeding us her philosophy, feeding us her philosophy. Now, whether you agreed with her philosophy or not, you had to admit she was really good at getting it out there, weaving it through the story, in the dialogue and in the speeches and in the text. Novels are good. Now, here's a little personal advice. Skip the trash. Somebody says, well, sometimes you can find something valuable in a trashy novel. I wouldn't go through it to find it. You can find a crust of bread in a garbage can, but I wouldn't go through it. Number one, you don't need the reputation. So not enough time to read the brilliant stuff, the good stuff. Skip the trash, really. My personal advice on personal development, becoming more valuable than you are.
...1986, I'm sitting on the curb. My mama come home. She say, "Baby Ray, what you doing?" I said, "Mom, I'm waiting for my daddy to come get me." She said, "Baby Ray, your daddy ain't coming." I said, "Mom, somebody said daddy in town and he coming to get me for Christmas." She said, "Baby Ray, your daddy ain't coming." I said, "Mom, I'm not leaving. I'm going to sit right here." 7:30 came by, 8:30, 9:30, she came back out and said, "Son, get up. He ain't coming." I said, "Mom, he got to come. I'll be all right." I sat there till 11:30 at night. She finally walked over to me. She said, "Baby Ray, get up. He ain't coming." And I remember getting up from that freaking curve. And I told my mama that day, "Mama, no pain will ever stop me from taking care of you and my brothers and sisters. Because nobody knows what I'm dealing with. The greatest pain a man will ever go through in his life is the disconnection of a father. when you know he living. I thank my father because we're friends now. But I thanked my father for not coming around me when I was a child. Because the way he was living wasn't the way I was supposed to live. So sometimes to really find the root of who you are, you must go back generationally and find out if you're following the same curses. That's what pain is. Pain is a repetition of the psyche. Until you learn how to figure it out, until you learn how to tap it on the back and say, I know you there, but I'm built to deal with you. I don't want nobody to leave here today and not understand why we must find a way to push through pain to understand that's on the other side of that is glory. The night before the Super Bowl, I retore my tricep. Couldn't tell nobody. I couldn't go to the doctors. I couldn't go to my teammates. What I was gonna tell them? That I can't play. I retore it. And it was bleeding so bad, and it was burning so bad that I took a shoestring from one of my shoes. And one of the fire spigots, I tied a shoestring around the tire spigot and tied it around my arm to hang my arm up just so I can get 3 hours of sleep. And I held it there all night, and that shoestring held my arm there all night. And I got up and I walked in that stadium. And I'll never forget this. If anybody's ever saw this ride, I came out of halftime and we busting San Fran up. I'm sorry if there's any 49er fan. You know, I know we on the West Coast. But I come out of halftime and I stayed in there a little longer because I got ready to tell my trainers, I'm like, man, listen, I can't even punch nobody with my arm. It's hurting that bad. I said, I got it. A whisper came to me. It ain't about you. It's about the team. It's about the team. I came out the locker room, my arm burning so bad. Jacoby Jones was walking to the end zone to receive the kickoff. I'm running towards the sideline. My arm burning so bad, God said, go touch Jacoby. I turned around and put both of my hands on Jacoby's chest. And I said, I'm just doing what God told me to do. And I ran back to the sideline and I watched Jacoby go 109 yards. So everything that moment told me was sometimes your greatest pain, it ain't even about you. It's about a greater purpose.
I delegate everything that I think is not the single most important things in the world, and then I micromanage the things that I think are the most important things in the world. Luckily for me, hence why I've been able to build big companies, I don't think most things matter. So I don't think I'm any different than anybody else. I actually think everybody is a delegator and a micromanager. I just think that my radar of what's important is different. Yes, we need to do something with that. That's the guys, that's it right there. I'm just like you, we're all the same. We all delegate, we all micromanage. The difference is, I don't think most things matter. And what do I mean by that? As I'm trying to think about somebody watching this for the first time, instead of alluding to like people that have watched forever. Most things don't matter. Like, I don't know, like just, I don't know, that's what it means. Like, you know, like if I was like, I don't know, I don't think lighting matters as much as D-Rock. Like, I just don't think things matter. Like, I don't think like one client that's gonna put us out of it, like, I don't think one employee is gonna kill our atmosphere. I don't think a lot of things matter. I don't think like a misspelling in a deck is something that really matters to a lot of people in my company. It just doesn't matter to me. I just don't think so. Guys, I don't think we're gonna lose a count because we put the I before the E. And if we do, them. Idiots. I don't think not wearing shoes in an establishment is, you know, the biggest thing in the world. Clearly, if you've watched Daily V1, some people do. And guess what? I do not judge. Do not judge. Everybody's allowed to do their thing. It's just like parenting. I will never spew my parenting thing. I talk about it, but it's very holistic. Like, this is what I do, not what I'm telling you to do. This is me. So ultimately, I think that I'm both. Like everybody in the world, I just think that I deem what's most important at a very, very high level on things that most people, you know what? A lot of you are commenting about my 5-minute meetings. Most of you, because you're part of my community, think it's great. A lot of comments on YouTube and Facebook of like, oh, I like Daily V because Gary spends 5. That's nice. One comment. I work in a small, and by the way, whoever said this is going to see this and be like, holy crap, he reads everything. I've worked at small companies where the boss didn't even know my name. You know what I mean? Like, this is cool. But do you know how many people think it's stupid? I have a lot of people in my life that think that I'm very busy and I have a lot of things to do, and why in the world, Gary, it's not scalable. It's not sustainable. Yeah, you're making that face because you're so in our cocoon, but like, boy, just like, you know, like, they're like, don't do that. It's not bad. Nobody expects you to do it, not at this scale. And you have a great culture and you have great intent, just do that. I'm like, nope, this thing matters to me. So I'm micromanaging a hello into my company 3 to 6 months in, that a lot of people outsource to an HR person or to leadership. So I do unscalable things all the time, micromanaging if I deem them the most important. Pitching new business, I like to micromanage that because it's important to win business. Like money helps me keep doing everything.
Some adults never figure out that unhappy states do not work when they're adults, and they continue to practice what they learned as little children for the rest of their lives, never realizing that it doesn't work. So the recognition that negative thinking and unhappy states actually do nothing to change anything. If anything, they make it worse. So if there's enough awareness and you can suddenly look at that, and then you can ask yourself from the deeper perspective of awareness, do I want to continue to think these thoughts? Is that helpful or good? Do I really want that? What is it doing? What would it be? How would I experience this situation without it? So you can, as awareness comes in, choice comes in. And then there are moments when you may be able to step out and just be present, and the negative mental emotional stream subsides, but it's not gone yet, because you don't get rid of it that easily. A few moments later, another thought comes into your head, and immediately a new train of negative thinking starts. And you can feel the pull of it. It can be very, very strong, especially if it's been in your life for a long time. You feel the pull of negative thinking. Come this way. This is so familiar. This is where you belong. This is who you are. And then you need awareness. So you can't fight the negative states, because that's another negative state. But you can be aware and see its futility, and ultimately see also how that you are addicted to it. But when you see it, you're not completely addicted anymore. You're only completely addicted when you don't see it. When you see it, you are the awareness. When there's no awareness, you are it. Then you are the ego. Then you are the ego that's addicted to unhappiness.
I have failed far more times than I've succeeded. You will never succeed more than you fail, because failure is a wonderful teacher. It's the only way to learn. Failure is a part of the process to becoming successful. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player in the world, he took 946 game-winning shots. The ball has been in his hand to take the game-winning shot with no time on the clock. He has missed over 700 times, but he has made 146. They write about when you make it. When you get through failing, all you got to do is make one.
It's not always true that people who know better do better. You know the discipline that's required to get your life together. I hate my normal, but I'm afraid of change. So I stick with the devil I know. Have you ever grown up and rethought your choices? Have you ever looked back at your life in retrospect and found yourself in situations that were based on bad information, selfishness, emotionalism, pride, and now you're more mature and you wonder what you could have been had you started earlier on the right road, and you lay down at night, wonder what would have happened had I not got myself stuck?
You're strong enough, and your life is worth whatever you have to go through. This dream you got, whatever you want to do, will it happen overnight? No. Will it be a struggle? Yes. Will there be times you won't know what to do? Yes, that's a part of it. Will there be times when you can't make ends meet? Yes, that's a part of it. Will you have some opposition? Will things go wrong sometimes? But somebody must have told people, oh, life is going to be real easy. If they told you that, I've got a special announcement. They lied.
Paul said in Romans, as far as you can, live at peace with everyone. It doesn't say that you're always going to have peace with every person. Some people don't want to have peace with you. David's brother didn't want peace. He was jealous. He was small-minded. He wanted to stir things up. David had to accept that his brother was not going to be at peace with him. Well, Joel, shouldn't I go the extra mile? Shouldn't I be the bigger person? Yes, but if you do all that and they still don't want peace, you need to move on. You have a destiny to fulfill. Your assignment is waiting on you. You can't worry about people that don't want to have peace with you. And I'm all for being nice, but at some point you have to put your foot down and say, you may have a problem with me, no disrespect, but I don't have time to have a problem with you. I don't have time to play petty games to try to convince you that I'm okay. Life is too short to try to have peace with people that don't want to have peace with you. Some of your relatives, you love them, but you have to love them from a distance. Don't frustrate yourself trying to make things happen that they don't want to happen. And that's not being disrespectful. That's being responsible with the gifts God has given you. My nature is to be a peacemaker. I want everybody to be happy. I'll go the extra mile 400 times to make peace. But some people have their own issues. They don't get along with themselves. How are they going to get along with you? They don't like who they are. How are they going to like who you are? No matter what you do, it's not going to be enough. They're going to find fault, be critical, try to make you feel guilty. If you keep trying to appease them, keep bending over backwards, spending all your time and energy, all that's doing is letting them control you. Be nice, but don't get distracted trying to have peace with someone that doesn't want peace. We all have people in our life like David's brother. They don't like seeing you happy, rising higher, going places. It's not about you, it's about the favor on your life. It's about the blessing God put on you. Don't take it personally. Keep your face set. You won't fulfill your destiny if you're trying to keep everyone happy. And some people that make the most withdrawals put in the least deposits. They're high maintenance people. They expect you to always be there to help them, to encourage them, to meet their every demand. But when you need something, they're never around. They're too busy. If that friendship is one-sided, they're doing all the taking and none of the giving, you need to make a change. I've heard it said, quit swimming across an ocean to be good to someone that won't jump across a puddle to be good to you. And if they get offended because you don't meet every expectation, they weren't a true friend. They just want you for what you can do for them. Those are distractions. You need to gradually break away from people like that. You were not created to be controlled, to never have any time to pursue what God put in your heart. Well, Joel, what if they get upset? What if I hurt their feelings? I would rather disappoint a few people than to disappoint God. Because when you come to the end of life, you won't give an account to people of what you did with your time, your talents, your resources. You'll give an account to God. Romans 13 says, owe no person anything except to love them. The only thing you really owe people is to love them. But if you think you have to keep everyone happy, and I got to keep this one cheered up, and I got to call this one every day or they'll get upset. I got to play up to my coworker or they won't be my friend. You are carrying a debt that you don't owe. Don't go through life trying to please everyone. If you try to keep every person happy, the one person that won't be happy is you. Come out from under that debt. Be nice, go the extra mile, but don't be a people pleaser. This was hard for me because I want people to like me. I'll go out of my way, do everything I can. But some people, no matter what you do, it's not going to be enough. It's very freeing when you realize you are not responsible to keep other people happy. You're responsible for your own happiness. Now, I don't mean to live selfish and only think about you, but don't take that false sense of responsibility thinking that other people's happiness depends on you. There was this couple I knew years ago. I went out of my way to be good to them. They moved to another city and I helped them move. I gave them money. I would call and check on them. If they needed anything, I was always available. But the feeling I got from them is I was never doing enough. They were never satisfied. They always had a complaint. Here I was going overboard to be kind and generous, but they were constantly finding fault, trying to make me feel guilty. I was concerned that they would get upset and they weren't going to be my friend. One day I realized what I'm telling you. They were only making withdrawals, never any deposits. I was nice, but I quit letting them control me. When I stopped, you would have thought I'd taken their firstborn child. They tried to make me feel so guilty, so ashamed, but my attitude was, I love you, but I don't owe you. If someone is controlling you, it's not their fault, it's yours. You have to put your foot down, make a change. This is your hour. You cannot reach your destiny dragging people along, trying to keep everyone happy. I know people that spend more time worried about what other people think about them than they do pursuing their own dreams and goals. And it's great to get free from addictions, free from depression, but one of the greatest freedoms is to get free from people. Because everyone has an opinion. These days, with social media, it's easier to express than ever. People will tell you what to wear, and how to raise your kids, and what you're doing wrong, and what to drive. They're quick to tell you how to run your life. Sometimes they can't even run their own life. And it's good to take advice. It's good to listen to wise counsel, but nobody can hear what you hear on the inside. Other people may mean well, but they don't know what God put in you. They don't know the gifts, the dreams, the calling. You have to have a boldness to follow what God's put in your heart. You can't worry about what everybody else thinks. Joel, what if they get upset? What if they don't agree? If someone gets offended because you're not taking their advice, that's not your problem. If you live by the opinion of others, you will never become who you were created to be, because people will try to keep you in their box, in who they want you to be. There was this grandfather. He and his small grandson were taking a trip into town. He started off letting the grandson ride the donkey. He was walking alongside. Someone passed by and said, "Look at that selfish little boy making that old man walk." He took the boy off, put him on the ground. He got on the donkey. The boy was walking alongside. Somebody passed by and said, "Look at that man making that little boy walk while he rides." He picked the boy up and put him on the donkey with him. A few minutes, someone passed and said, "How cruel of the two of you to place that heavy load on the donkey." By the time they got to town, the grandfather and grandson were carrying the donkey. Everybody has a right to have their opinion, and you have the right not to take it.